All right, now that we have the hair complete, we're gonna go into the makeup. We are doing a little bit different of a look than you all did last year. Last year was more of a dark lid and a more compact lash. This year we're doing more of a cut crease to leave the eyelid more light and open, a little bit more fresh for their age. And we're gonna switch up the lash to be a little bit more wispy so it doesn't weigh down the eye. So the first thing we're gonna start with, and this is optional, you all don't have to do this one, but this is a primer. So you can do any MAC primer, or this one is the e.l.f. Mineral Infused. This is just going to help the makeup last longer throughout the day. You'll have to reapply much less. And also the makeup, the foundation is gonna go on much smoother. It's gonna fill in fine lines and pores if they have any. We're gonna go in with our MAC 188, and we're just going to lightly apply this throughout the entire face, mostly on the cheeks, the nose, the forehead, and the chin. And again, this is a clear mineral infused, so it's not giving any coverage, so you can kind of do it a little messily. You just want to make sure that it feels even throughout their entire face. There's just the slightest bit underneath their chin, into their neckline, so it all blends naturally. The next thing we're going to go do is we're going to take our MAC Pro Longwear Foundation, and we're going to apply a nice thin coat throughout the entire face as needed for coverage. We're going to use that same exact brush that we had already used for our primer for our foundation. So I like to start here in the jawline to give the most coverage, lightly taking that underneath the neck, and then start to blend it upward. You can even take it a little bit into the ear, depending on if any coverage or blending is needed. Also, don't be afraid. We're going to actually apply a thin coat over the lip. This is gonna start to act as a primer for the lipstick, and it'll help last a little bit longer throughout the day with less reapplying. As we use it on the lip as a primer, we're also going to go in on the eyelid, and we're going to apply a nice thin coat, and this is going to also act as a primer for our shadow. Alright, after we have evened out that entire skin with a nice thin layer of foundation, we're going to go in only if needed. You can take a little bit of concealer. I like to use a color that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than the foundation color, just to really brighten underneath the eye. And I'm using that same brush I already used, and I'm just tapping in underneath the eye, along a little bit of the apple of the cheek, and same on the other side. And I'm going to take a little bit along the nose, the top of the forehead, fan out, the top of the lip, and the bottom of the chin. And as you can see, I didn't completely blend that out. I'm going to use a beauty blender. This is a MAC beauty blender, but then again, you can purchase any beauty blender at all that you would like to. And you're just going to go in with small dabbing strokes and blend that concealer into your foundation. As you can see, that really brightens up underneath the eye for stage purposes. Make sure you keep these strokes nice and tapping up and down rather than anything back and forth, so it's not moving product. Alright, after we have blended out our concealer into our foundation, we're going to go in with a loose MAC powder. This is translucent. And I'm going to use my beauty blender again, and I'm just going to tap this in. We're going to set all of this underneath the eye. Tapping that in, nice small strokes. go in with a loose powder brush and just lightly blend out that excess into the remainder of the face. Alright, after we have set the entire foundation concealer with our loose translucent powder, we are going to go in with our MAC. This is Prism Blush, and we're just going to really define and kind of contour those cheeks and along the forehead. We're using a 1/16 from MAC, but again, any blush brush will work. I'm going to take this right along the cheekbone, right into the bottom of the apple of the cheek. Nice circular strokes, really contouring that here in like a C shape, a little bit along the temple. And you can take any excess that you have and just really blend in along that hairline. And as you can see, what a difference that makes from one side to the other. And the same on the other side. Alright, after we've done our blush prism along our cheekbones and along the temples and forehead, blending into our hairline, we're going to start our shadows. The first one we're going to do is our vanilla, or whatever your lightest color of MAC shadow is. We're going to use a 239 from MAC. This is a very tight bristle, so it's going to apply a lot of compact color. We're going to apply this from the lash line all the way up to the brow bone. Don't be afraid to really pack this color on. We want that lid to be nice and bright. I like to pack it on along the lid and then blend it up and outward. And then the same on the other eye, packing it into the lid. Alright, after we have packed on our lightest color, which on Malia we used vanilla, we are going to go in with our blush again. So again, for her we use the Prism, but whatever blush color you use, we're going to go in and use with a blending shadow brush. And we're going to lightly use this as a transition color in her crease. So right where her eye will naturally crease, we're just going to blend this in. It shouldn't be super apparent. It's just a blending color. We're going to go in and really cut that crease. But this is just going to give us a little bit of a transition. Really defines the eye a little bit more, especially for stage purposes. Stage to our shadow, which is our final stage of the shadow that we're going to do, is the very pronounced cut crease. We are going to use the same brush that we use for our gel eyeliner, which is a 263 angle brush. We're going to use our deepest color MAC shadow, which for Malia we're using Espresso. We are going to really get a good amount of product on this brush, both sides. You can always test it out on your hand first to make sure that you have plenty. You're going to have them close their eye. You're going to create a nice cut crease exactly in where their eye would naturally open. I like to start about halfway and pull it out to the outside corner. I am going a little bit light-handed. You can always go back and add. This is just really creating a shape. You want to start bringing it in a little bit more to the center of the eye. You really want to have this nice pronounced cut line. If at any point you feel like it's coming down a little too far along the lid, that's perfectly fine. You can always go back in with your vanilla or whatever your lightest tone was and really pack it on that lid again if needed. Now with this same exact brush and shadow, we're going to use this underneath the eye, halfway as a liner, so you're going to have them look up. You're going to keep it as tight to the lash line as possible. Only bringing it halfway into their eye. And then you're going to bring it out to meet our end of our cut crease. Now we're going to go where this triangle shape is, and we're just going to lightly fill it in. And if at any point, like I said, you want to go back in with your lighter color, with your compact shadow brush, you can always go in and you can always pack that back in to keep that nice and light.